Sorry.
Welcome to the second episode of moTV. Real people, real stories, real inspiration. We have such a good show tonight. Tonight we are going to Waterloo. That's right, moMondays Waterloo. We are going to have a great chat with Gord Melville, one of the moHosts, because there are three in Waterloo. And he is just one of the most, let's just say he's a character. I'll tell you more about him when I come back. All right, and we're back. And I'm so glad you joined us here this evening, tonight, this morning, no matter where you are in the world. So, this side, the three characters. Gord on top, Don in the middle, Leah on the bottom. But let me tell you, they change places all the time. They have such a good time. They run such an amazing show in Waterloo. And tonight, we're going to be talking to Gord, the guy on top, the guy who called me, I think about 2 years ago and a month, I think, around there. And he said, Michel, I'd like to do a moMondays in Waterloo. Of course, I asked him, why would you want to do that? And he told me, and he's going to be telling you a little while. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is a multi-award-winning, best-selling author. He is an international high-performance coach. And when I was going over this with him before the show, I just wrote down high-performance coach. He says, no, Michel, international. Coaches some real amazing athletes. We're going to find out about that. And he's certified as a high-performance coach. I'm a professional speaker. I'll get this right. He was certified as a high-performance coach by none other than Mr. Tony Robbins. So, if I press these buttons right, he's going to show up, and we're going to say hello to Gord Melville. You ready? Gord!
Hey!
You're there.
Awesome. I absolutely am here. Good to see you, Michelle.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad the people who are joining us are here. And yeah, this is pretty cool. From the comfort of our respective homes.
Absolutely.
So I know in preparation for this moTV show, I asked you a whole bunch of questions. I asked you to pick a speaker, a video that stands out in your head. And you told me that, and we got that racked up. We're going to watch it. I asked you for a musician that, for one reason or another, again, sticks in your heart, your head, and you told me that. And we've got him lined up, too, with playing a song. By the way, world premiere, I think. What else did I ask you? I asked you for a charity that is particularly near and dear to your heart. And you told me that. And we're going to get to that in a second as well. There was one more question I forgot. There are a whole bunch of questions. But let's start by going back 26 months, or 26 months approximately, when you first called me. I want to know what was going on in your head when you said to yourself and then to me, Michel, I'd like to do a moMondays in Waterloo.
Great question. I'd been attending moMondays in Guelph. Actually, we've been to Guelph. I've been to a few times with Kevin, and enjoyed it tremendously. And then was asked to speak in Guelph, so I spoke in Guelph, which started. I think I've spoken 7 or 8 now, different cities from moMonday. But the impact that it made on people was bizarre to me. The positive impact, the inspiration that it gave me.
Okay, so wait a minute. Sure. You know, I've had many people talk about the impact of moMondays in their respective community. I think absolutely. Nobody has ever said bizarre.
Well, it's mesmerizing. It's humbling to watch because there's literally, people don't know what it is. It's kind of an experiential deal. You can talk about, when we describe it to people, we can describe it however we want. At the end of the day, unless they sit in it, once they sit in it and actually experience it, they get it. But until they get that far, sometimes it's difficult to have people understand
right.
the emotional impact.
So,
because it's not something that's just it's not like going to a movie where you watch it and it does its thing. It actually positively impacts you.
Well, thank you for saying that. It occurred to me that many of the people who might be watching this have been to a moMondays in one of the many cities that... You realize I started moMondays in 2012 in Toronto, second floor of a tea room. We are now in, well, depending on the month, between 10 and 16 cities across the country. And so there are a lot of people who are watching this now who have been to a moMondays and have a sense of what it is, although they may not know, they've only been to the one in their city. But there might also be a lot of people who says, hey, they are streaming now. So I've heard about moMondays, but I've never been to one. Maybe I should check out this moTV. So let's be clear. This is not a moMondays. This is not a regular moMondays, if you're watching this, that we've just converted into a streamed show. This is something different where over the next several weeks, I am asking to be on the show a different moHost from each of the cities. And tonight's your turn, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
How would you describe moMondays to someone who's never been?
You know what? It's an interesting mix. We build it as inspirational entertainment. So we have between 5 and 7 speakers that are ranged from people that have never been on stage before right through to professional speakers. And they tell, we do get the heavy stuff. We do get stuff about PTSD and depression and suicide and real heavy things that people...
Fun stuff.
Sorry?
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff, absolutely. And then we also have the other side of that equation where people tell anecdotal stories about their kids or about their pets or whatever. So you do get a good mix of both. So, but it will absolutely inspire. There's always special music. There's always a live musical act there. And we've had world class, and that we've been ridiculously honored and blessed in Waterloo to have some really amazing, really, really, really good musical acts and some phenomenal speakers.
And clearly, I will say, you can't see this, Gord, but clearly people love your show. And when I say your, I mean the three of you, plural. And in fact, I know that, it takes a village to host the moMondays, right? It takes a whole community. It's not even just you three. You've got photographer, videographer, people at the front desk. You've got staff. And then the speakers who are all donating their time to come and share a story, something. And you can't see this, but I'm telling you, the people who are watching this being streamed, I hope it's streaming now on Facebook, and soon it'll be streaming on YouTube, and if we got the tech right, it's also streaming on the moMondays.com website.
Oh, very cool.
But what you can't see and everybody else can see is I've got your room in the background.
Oh, cool.
All these people, you've got it filled with people who are having such a good time and clearly enjoying themselves. And yeah, it's funny. It's my friend Stephanie from Winnipeg, who really is responsible for having it spread across the country. She saw what I was doing with moMondays in Toronto, and she said, Michel, I want you to help me start a moMondays in Winnipeg. I said no. She said yes. I said no. She said yes. I said, I am not set up to help anybody else start their moMondays. She said, absolutely, moMondays needs to be everywhere because it has such a positive impact, as you were saying. But she's saying, when you think about it, and I loved the way you said it, it's like inspirational entertainment. Love it, love it, love it, love it. That is so perfect with the mission and positioning. And she said, when you think about it, we're past the age of just going out to bars. Of course, by then, she didn't know that Barbara and I were starting to go back to bars. That's a whole other story. She said, we're past the age of going out to bars. You know, there are only a certain number of times. You go to a movie every night. You can't go to a movie every night. You can't go to a restaurant every night. We're hungry for entertainment, but entertainment that fits us. And that's what she liked about moMondays. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing, Michelle, that we do a little bit different at our moMondays, and we do a bunch of stuff different at ours, but one of the things that we do a little bit different is that the three of us, Dawn and Leah and I, and our team, so our videographer, Rob, our photographer, Sandra, our sound guy, Jeremy, with Donna and Janessa at the front desk, as a team decided, you know what, we want this, we don't need the dollars and cents of it per se, so we're going to do it as a charity. So that's why we do the charity part. So we run it as a not-for-profit. We run it as an opportunity to give back to our community and bring it all together. So every month we have something different. So we did Food Bank in January. We did Heart and Stroke in February. We were going to do MS in March, but we'll continue that once we go back to live again. But I think that adds a different flavor, and I think some people come to ours specifically because they appreciate the fact that it's a not-for-profit environment.
Well, you're certainly not the only one that has a charity component. In fact, absolutely. I'm going to mention Stephanie again.
Yep.
She's like one of the rock stars of moMonday. She no longer hosts it because she moved out of Winnipeg, went to Vancouver Island for the good life. For the good life. But she always also had a charity. But, you know, since you talk about charity, let's talk about the charity. I asked you what's a charity that's near and dear to your heart, and tell me which one you picked and how people can donate. And they could donate from anywhere in the world. So
that's right.
If they're watching this, can somebody please, it's in the promo, but once Gord talks about it, one of the people who are watching, could you please put the link in the comments? So Gord, talk about that.
Absolutely. When we first started, based on my story and based on what I had shared, we opened up our, that's very, very personal for me. As a survivor, I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
I can see that. Suicide survivor. So that was close to my heart. So initially, for the first year, we gave all the extra money, all of our money, to Suicide Prevention KW Council. And there's a council in most cities across Canada, Suicide Prevention Canada, but because we're here, we give it to KW. And they do an amazing work, and they're always there. There's the programs they have, and because of what I'm doing with my coaching, that has expanded for me in lots of different positive ways. But being able to give to them to make sure that it's such a prevalent thing. And I think as long as everybody understands, until everybody understands that we're all on that spectrum, the mental health spectrum, we're all on it. So it doesn't matter whether it's a little bit of stress at work or at home, right through to fully suicidal and deep depression and whatnot. Everybody is on that spectrum. And once we do that, it's not them, they're messed up. It's not like that anymore. As long as we keep it as an us and them, and people separate the two, we're going to have people choosing to opt for suicide because there aren't any other options. They don't see any other options. And when I'd always said my whole life, why don't they just reach out? Like in the moment, why don't they just reach out? And when I remember being there, I remember thinking to myself, I'm doing my family a favor. There's no way you're reaching out in that moment. So that means the help has to be there ahead of needing it. It's kind of like insurance. You have to buy it when you don't need it, because when you do need it, you don't qualify anymore. So, right, with suicide and depression, it works the same way. When you have to have your resources and your the support around you has to be there before you need it, because once you do need it, and right at the moment in it, the whole social distancing thing, I think is a misnomer. And you and I have talked about that. I tell everybody I can find, it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. Right. Socially, we still need those connections. They're social humans. We need that connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be, we can use technology just like you here are doing here, and that's wonderful. We can continue to do that, and we need to do more of that. Physical distancing, I get.
Physical distancing, we need. You know what? I think a lot of people are replacing the physical distancing with the social online distancing, because it's I mean, let's face it, and that's why we love the live shows. We love the live shows because of the human physical contact. This is second best.
Absolutely.
It's okay. I think some of us are we're trying to replace quantity with quality, though, because I tell you, I got one live meeting after another the whole day. I think by the end of the day, I am more exhausted than I have ever been.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. How can people donate to this charity? Do you have the link?
There's a link. Like you said, it's in the. I didn't write it down right here. I should have written it down right here, but I don't have it right here. But it'll be in the. And you know what? If they pull up Suicide Prevention KW Council, if they're in a different place in the country, if they happen to be in Canada, if they just pull up Suicide Prevention Canada, in their own city, it'll be there.
Great. Well, if somebody is watching this, please put it in the comments. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
All right, so it's interesting. You talk about how we all need a support system around us, and that has to be there ahead of time. And that's kind of what was in the back of my mind for moMondays. It was really as a professional speaker, I'd been to networking events, association events. I'd been speak to sell events. I'd been to all kinds of events. And I started moMondays because I was hungry for real. Everything was so, it was a business card. So just how many business cards? I went to one networking event, and this woman went around the room, and I watched her, and she put her business card in my hand. She went around the room. She put her business card in my hand. She went around the room, put her business card in my hand 3 times. There was no real connection.
Right.
And
absolutely.
And so and then at the same time, I wanted something that wasn't like a transformational event where everybody has to share and everybody has to cry, and we could have a good time, we could have fun. And you've had some hilarious. I've poached a few of your funny speakers to speak on Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been amazing. You know what? It always sort of warms my heart when, as the facilitator of the event, right? The people in the audience, they can see me whenever, so they do say goodbye. A lot of them give us hugs, right? But they interact with the speakers. They're hunting the speakers down. The audience is hunting the speakers down to get their cards and to talk to them and to thank them for sharing.
Yeah.
Same with the music, which means it's not they're. Those people, the people that we've had on stage, privileged and honored to have on stage, are connecting in a real emotional way, in a deeply emotional way with a lot of the audience members, which I think is.
So now's a good time to ask you. I love to ask this question. If you could be specific, but no names. Okay, I'm going to ask you, is there a success story where you had a speaker out and you know that it had a huge impact on one person, not maybe more than one person, but one person in the audience, and that you know that they made some amazing change in their own lives? Do you have a story like that?
There's a bunch of stories like that. There's always every month seems to bring its own batch of stories like that. So we do have a core group of people that come regularly, and they promote it and talk about it all the time. And so from that point of view, there is some of that there. The one that comes to mind that really kind of sticks out for me was actually a speaker and a musician, not in the audience.
Well, that was going to be my next question, so let's jump right to that. Okay.
So that person, because the audience people, there are some people that do some phenomenal things, that take it and run with it, that show up, that promote it to other people and bring friends, they bring clients, so there's a core group of audience people that continue to do that. But the one person that really kind of sticks out was one of these speakers, and they spoke and they played music on the same night. And they'd never played music in front of anybody before, and they had never spoken in front of anybody before.
I know who you mean.
A double hit for them. You do, because she went from ours within a week of our show. She had gone out and played at open mics all over the place, and it just snowballed, and and she's now playing all over the place, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Speaking all over the place and sharing her story, and phenomenal. Her life just sort of went kaboom, based on what she did on our stage, and it's fun to watch. Again, the empowerment that moMondays creates for people. You do see people that same as her, right? They're shaking and they're trembling and they're scared to get up there, but once they do it, they get up, they stroke it off their bucket list and go, you know what? I talked in front of a crowd of people. It was awesome. And they go, you know what? I lived through that. And she
was also she put a lot of humor into her story. I really enjoyed it. Okay, I want to ask this next question.
Okay.
You've now been running moMondays with your team for almost 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've 6 speakers, including musicians and sometimes stand-up comics and all kinds, 6 performers, storytellers, times 12, times close to 2. I don't know, you do the math. 6 times, call it 10, that's 60. So it's about 120 you've been through. Did I do that right?
More, because it's close. I know we typically like to run 7 speakers plus our music.
So you've seen somewhere between 120 and 140 storytellers.
Yeah.
And you've seen the impact that's had on the audience, and you've seen the impact that it's had on the speakers, some more than others. But I don't believe that you can have that experience and you could go through that yourself without being changed yourself.
Absolutely. We set off to stage left, I guess. And lots of times we're all in tears. Like it's impacting us. It's the connection that it lifts us in that moment. You and I have talked about. And when you sit in the audience, you don't realize how much work it takes to make that show run.
I know.
Right? And I know you know in spades even more than me. But the audience lots of times doesn't understand what it took to get there. So being able to do the other stuff that has to happen to make the show happen, you and I sort of laughed at, if we could only do the show, just that one night, it's exhausting. But you know what? We get jacked up. Lots of times, we don't finish cleaning up until 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we're so excited on what's happened, and we're exhausted, but we can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because we're just we're reminiscing about some of the people that were there, both in the audience and on stage, and we're talking about the music, and we're talking about some of the people that were there and the interactions, and some of our charities that were there and what they did and how they interacted with people. It's unbelievable. It lifts, and I missed it. You know what? I when Donnie and me and I decided rightly to postpone our March show, I was shocked how depressed I was. It took me like 3 days to pull my head out of my butt, because I didn't realize how tied in I was. Like we'd love to do it for the audience, we'd love to do this for the speakers, but how tied in we were, right? I was melancholy badly for a few days, and
it's like a part of you is missing.
Absolutely.
I've heard that from a lot of moHosts. I've heard that from a lot of. It's like, yes, there's a lot of work, and we all complain about how much work it is. It's like me included, right? Nobody knows, unless you go backstage, how much work it is.
Absolutely. We do it though.
But and every day, the day after, says that's why I do it. All right. Well, I want to get to your speaker. Your selected speaker. Now, for everybody listening, I want to say that this is probably the most unfair question I can ever ask a moHost. I said, pick one, we're going to feature that one speaker. Well, that's like saying, which one of your children do you love the most? Not a fair question, but I asked it anyway.
You know what? They're all my favorite. They really are, and all for different reasons. The reason we chose this particular one, I know in a virtual world, we can have people on here from anywhere on the planet, but in a live version, usually we're restricted to people that are from the area, right? Within a couple of hours of where your city is.
Right.
And we were lucky enough to have this particular, him and his wife spoke that night, but they weren't supposed to be there. So it was funny when I was looking back, I'm like, which month was that? Because they're not on any of my schedules, because we snuck them in as an extra 2 people on that particular night. And they drove up from New Jersey to be with us that night. And so he's also, him and his wife are the producers for my book. That's their book.
Cool.
Our book,
Spiritual
right?
Fitness Survivor. Nice.
Yeah. It went #1 in Canada and US on Amazon, and we sold huge amounts of them. But they run that. That's their deal, and so I wanted to honor them partly because they came so far.
Yeah.
And like you say, to use criteria, I love them all. So how do you use criteria that, we've had people from Montreal, we've had people from all over the GTA, we've had people from Upper Michigan.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go to that video.
Yep.
And then we'll come back. We'll talk about it. Introduce him. Yep. His name is
Emilio Roman.
And do you remember the name of the talk? I know
his talk. No, actually, you know what? I don't.
But it's going to come up. So here we go. You ready? 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and then we come back and we're going to talk about it together. And then we're going to bring on a musician, and then we're going to wrap up. We're going to stick around, watch this.
Awesome.
My wife and I came over from Jersey. And we had this plan over a month. And we came down for 2 different things, 2 different venues. And this was one of them. We invested money, we invested time, a lot of energy to get here from New Jersey. And to tell you a little bit, take you back to what just happened, why I didn't want to be here. I have a history of alcohol and drug abuse. I'm a United States Marine. And before I go on, is it okay if we take 30 seconds of my time and your time to just honor our Canadian and our American soldiers? Is that okay? Yes. Somebody give me 30 seconds. So I want to take you back to why I didn't want to be here today, but I'm so happy I'm here. Thank you. My background as a U.S. Marine, I'm very proud of that, but I did not understand when you give someone a weapon, you should do some investigation, right? You should have a psychological profile with people instead of giving them weapons. I had buried some things in my life that I didn't know had happened to me. And they surfaced at the wrong time. You see, I was molested not once, but twice by family members. You know, young Latino male from the city. Grew up Latino, very prideful. I had really thought that was a dream. I really had buried this so deep that, like my good friend Marvin says, when I walked out, I was that guy. I was always happy. I was always cheerful. And when I went to bed, though, I didn't want to go to bed because these reoccurring dreams would come. I didn't know where they where they came from. I just assumed they were just dreams. I watched television. So fast forward, more dreams started to manifest themselves as I was getting older. I started now to drink more, not wanting to go to sleep. And this other reoccurring dream happened, and I've never shared this publicly in my life. In fact, I didn't even know I was going to do this tonight, but I have a personal belief, and that is I trust what shows up. One of these dreams came, my mom. When I was a kid, she huddled my sister and us in the bedroom, and she was challenged with alcohol. And she had suffered from depression. My father, as I understand it, had abused her, and she had grown up and moved on with some traumas in her life. So my mother huddled us into this bedroom. She takes this cigarette, and I saw seconds prior, she had flipped the cigarette on a box that we had used for clothes because we didn't have a lot of money. My mom was on public assistance. And I remember her throwing the throwing the cigarette after putting something looked like alcohol and taking us on the bed. I would love to stand here today and tell you that I was this brave guy. I tell you what, I broke out of that and I ran out the door. And thankfully, my two sisters followed me. Thankfully. And we just so happened to live right across the street from my school. Literally, we just so happened to live right across the street. And fast forward, the ambulance and everybody came, and my mom had told this story, that somebody had thrown something in, it was a gang or something. And all of a sudden, I remember going to school the next day and watching. You would think I'd be going somewhere, but I went to school the next day. That was the safest place for me, by the way. Don't know how that worked out, but I ended up in school. It was right across the street from me. And I remember the firemen doing the cleaning and throwing my Converse sneakers out the window. And I remember how bad I wanted those Converse. And that's one of these memories that every time I see a Converse sneaker, I remember. Again, a dream that I had suppressed. And I've never shared this publicly. In fact, I thought it was so much of a dream because when it kept coming up, I asked my sisters, because I was the oldest. I said, listen, Marilyn, listen, Isamar, do you remember that the house fire when mommy did this? She's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So I just kept suppressing it even more. As I got older, kept drinking, then it was drugs. So these are the things that I dealt with, but like Marvin, when I walked out that house, it was salsa. Tu sabe, it was salsa. And so I developed this personality where everything was hunky-dory on the outside. Fast forward, I'm in the United States Marine Corps, very proud of that. And I'm overseas, something transpired, blank hits the fan, my name ends up on the president's desk. And from that moment, all the stuff that had happened by the house, the sexual trauma, all this comes to a head. I start drinking more. They take me in for a psych evaluation and say, well, what's going on? What's going on? And I remember having a Filipino psych doctor say to me, hey, so you want to get out of the Marine Corps? I'm like, yeah. Because I had so much going on. It came to a halt where I in essence, I snapped. I snapped with my M16. But luckily, I held what's called my military posture and composure. And everything worked out. Everybody thought I was a hero for not shooting this guy. And I came back like, oh my God, you should have shot him. But the trauma and the combination of the spirituality, that connection that everybody speaks about. How did I get through the sexual trauma? How did I get through the burning wasn't me. It wasn't me. I have to be honest with myself. There's higher order. Today, I have a higher power whom I choose to call God. I was always conflicted with that. Didn't believe, if I couldn't see you, if I couldn't have a conversation with you, I didn't believe it. I want to go ahead and hopefully, can you imagine right now, this person, this hurt person? Has anyone here ever heard of hurt people? Anyone? Yeah. Anyone? I was that guy. I started drinking so much, doing so much drug, just to get out of myself, just so I can numb myself out. I didn't have an illustrious career in the Marine Corps. I was always known as that guy, oh, that's Roman, man. I don't know if you want to be around Roman, last name, right, in the military. Emilio Romano. And so I was that guy. People are like, man, this guy's going to cause some trouble. You don't want to invite him over. Let me share this one thing with you. I remember being at a bar, and I was with this young lady, and I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, she said, do you know that guy over there? I said, yeah, he's a great guy. I'm drinking. Hey, salsa. Right? You like that? Salsa. Hey, you see that guy? I said, yeah. He says, never invite you over to his house. You're freaking crazy. I was like, but he's a good guy. He doesn't know me. But word gets out. You can fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool all the time. So I thought I was fooling people. I thought that if I put on this, this good stuff here, I'm good to go. So what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Today, I said to you, I didn't want to be here. That little addict behavior, that little boy, in Spanish we call it a mocoso. Does anybody know what the word mocoso means in Spanish? No? Puerto Ricans here? No one Puerto Ricans? What does it mean? A little child. She went like this. A little snot-nosed kid. So, my wife and I, to take this back, when we're coming here, I got into that snot-nosed mocoso kid, and I don't know how, and someone said it earlier, you get into an argument, you don't even know what the heck you were arguing about. I said, I'm not going to Canada. I was like this. And I got into this mode. And I'm like, what the heck happened? So what did I do? I called Gord, did I not? Actually, I was a coward, I'll take it back. I didn't even call him, I texted him. I was like, hey Gord, we're not going. Because I knew if I talked to him, he wanted to know more. I went ahead and I called Jennifer. I said I had to be honest. I did not call our friend Jennifer. I did a voicemail. One of those boxes. Hey Jennifer, just letting you know. Sorry about that. Not going. She was like, I had people waiting on us. My wife and I had people waiting on us. Let me share this with you. My wife came, and my wife, you heard her speak. She's the smart one out of the two of us. She was reasonable. Again, as I was in my mocoso mode, and I canceled everything, the rooms, everything. The next day, she made an amends with me. She didn't have to. She wasn't the one who's got the issues. I am. She said, listen, babe, you can still go to Canada. We can still do this. We already paid for everything. Come on, let's do it. What was I? Mocoso kid. No, leave me alone. I had to be aware. And my wife reminded me that I need to stay connected to the divine, this God that I choose. Because when I'm following this path, when I am focused on what's right, and I'm honoring people, things just magically seem to happen for me. I'm going to, very quickly, I see a red dot up here. I don't know what that means. Hey, I'm the last guy up, right? So nobody okay, thank you. Gord is going, you're good, and she's going, don't worry. Just kidding. But listen, let me share this with you in closing. I'm going to read you a letter. That's okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Dear Emilio, I just want to take this time to tell you how proud I am of you on your road to recovery from drugs and alcohol. God has blessed you so much in such a short period of time. You have finally completed your college degree in health and exercise science, which you love so much. You restored your credit, which was destroyed by living that poor lifestyle. You are now active and present in your son and daughter's life, which your active addiction robbed you and them from having your best self show up. But I just want to remind you, if you ever decide to pick up another drink or drug again, just understand that you should leave your car keys, your house title, your college degree, your marriage certificate, and all the money on that barroom table, because that's exactly where it's all going to end up. Congratulations again. Just know that I'm rooting for you. Your best self, Emilio Roman. This was a letter I wrote to myself. My name is Emilio Roman. I want to thank you and leave you with that. Thank you.
So I don't think the viewers had a chance to get to know who you are. I asked Gord, say, okay, you know what? We're going to show one of the videos, then we're going to have one of the musicians. And music is a really important part of every single moMondays. Not every single, I think 90% of them have a musician. And this is going to be the third time I mentioned Stephanie from Winnipeg, because that was her brainchild. She said, oh, we should have music. We should make it even more entertaining. And so when I asked Gord, and again, it's like saying, which one of your children do you love the most? It's a very unfair question. But he mentioned you, Stephen Ryan, from Paris, Ontario.
That's correct.
And you're going to play a song.
Yep, I got a song. And actually, it's funny because the song I was originally intending to play didn't end up being the song that I did. And the funny thing is it went so perfectly with the message Gord had today, as well as the charity that Gord has so graciously put a link to donate to. So this, I don't know why, but something told me to play this song last minute, and I played this one. And it's an original song as well, but it fits this conversation so well, and it's weird how those things work out.
Well, I want to hear it. Before we do that, I just want to ask. Now, you know what? Introduce the song. Just go for it.
You got it. So this is an original song of mine called "I'll Be Right Here." And this I actually released last year, and I wrote this song because I always found there's a lot of people saying people need to reach out and this, that, and the other thing. But I felt sometimes people aren't capable of reaching out, exactly like Gord had mentioned earlier. And I find music is one of those things that can reach in when people are afraid to reach out. So instead of them having to come out and ask for help, they can feel like they're not alone, or that somebody's going through the same thing they're going through when the music reaches in. So I wrote this song called "I'll Be Right Here" for that reason.
I'll be right here on moTV.
With your heart made of stone and your skin's cut too deep, you hurt down to your bones and you feel weak in the knees. Well, before you go falling apart, I gotta say my piece. We're only human for a moment in time, and the rest is a mystery. So if you feel like breaking down and it seems like there's no one around, you can't pick yourself off the ground, and all that appears seems so unclean. I'll be right here. There's nowhere left to turn, and your lungs refuse to breathe. And all those times that you got burned have left you frightened by the heat. Well, before you go falling apart, I've gotta say my piece. We're only human for a moment in time, and the rest is a mystery. So if you feel like breaking down, and it seems like there's no one around, when you can't pick yourself off the ground, and then all that appears seems so ugly, I'll be right here. When the walls coming down, you scream but can't make a sound. You feel you'll never be found. For the ones who carry the load, for the ones who call nowhere home, know that you're never alone. So if you feel like breaking down, and it seems like there's no one around, when you can't pick yourself off the ground, all that appears seems so ugly. So if you feel like breaking down, and it seems like there's no one around, well, when you can't pick yourself off the ground, and all that appears seems so ugly, I'll be right here.
We're back.
Beautiful.
What a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Now, have you played that song at moMondays, Stephen?
I believe I played that at the first moMondays that Gord had me at. Yeah, that was because I played that song actually for Mike Hectus, and then that's how we connected.
That's right. That was an amazing show, because you took if I remember correctly, you took your shoes off and you played the whole set without shoes on, and on the stage at Patton Social, and everybody's like, what is he doing? And so we asked you, why are you playing without your shoes on?
Yeah.
And Michelle, you'll appreciate this as a musician. Tell us why. Stephen, tell us why.
Did I give you the full answer?
The full answer.
Okay.
Including about your wife. That came up in the yeah.
No, so essentially, I play barefoot because it's one of those things that I feel like making music is very similar to making love, and you should do neither with your shoes and socks on. So that's where that came from.
Definitely not with your shoes and socks on. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
It was very intimate. It was very cool, and it connected to the crowd. They all made comment about it after that. It made, because of the way he described it, right? It made a connection with him that may or may not have been there otherwise, but they felt very at ease and comfortable with him, and he played phenomenally well. And it was one of the high. People still mention it. Who was the guy's name that without the shoes? He played without the shoes. What was his name? It's awesome. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming.
So, Stephen, before we go any further, tell people, how can they hear more of you? Where can they? I know you're dropping a single soon. Where can they buy it? All of that stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to let people know that. But my name is Stephen Ryan, so you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere music is streamed, Amazon, just under that name, Stephen Ryan. And on any social media, I'm at Stephen Ryan Music. So anywhere there, and then I have a new single on April 30th that's going to be coming out.
Very cool. Very cool. I can't ask you when's your next live show because nobody knows. Let me ask you this, Stephen. You know, there are a lot of musicians who play at moMondays.
Yeah.
And it's not like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not like playing at your average bar gig or...
No, definitely.
What's different about playing at moMondays for you?
So I would say the biggest difference is if you're playing a gig anywhere, whether it's at a bar or a club or even a party, an event, anything like that, there's always going to be, to some degree, you're there just as surface entertainment or background music or something like that. Whereas when you play at a moMondays, since people are there for inspiration, they're there for the message, they're there for everything. It's not just surface stuff. That's one of the only places you can go, aside from a ticketed audience that knows they're specifically coming to see you. You can go to this place, and even if nobody knows you, they're there specifically to listen to the message and what's deeper, not just the on-the-surface background music, and you just don't get that at other places.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? We've had a lot of extremely professional musicians, people who have been on thousands of stages around the world, and that's pretty much the same kind of comment I get from everybody. You know, there's something uniquely intimate and special, and it's the audience wants to hear the story behind the person behind the songs.
Yeah, definitely.
And and it's a different skill, isn't it? It's not like you're rehearsing this song, and I know I could, you know, as a musician myself, you rehearse a song, but when you share the story behind the song, it brings it to a whole level.
Oh, definitely. Well, and that's even, it comes down to people emotionally responding to things. And I've always said, whenever people try to tell me, oh, you're a great singer or something like that, I say, no, I just emote really well through my voice, and people connect to that. And I think that's one of those places where people appreciate that so much more.
Well, wait a minute, Stephen. Hear me.
Yeah.
You're a great singer, all right? Right?
Absolutely, he is.
You listen. I just want to say we're going to wrap this up. We're thanks everybody for hanging in during that time that we were dropped off the sound. By the way, I figured out the tech problem. The tech problem was me turning off the sound.
That'll do it.
Oops.
Well, but I turned off the sound while the video was on because I was afraid people would hear us talking, and then I didn't turn it back on. All right. So, Kim Basler, I absolutely love moMondays. First stage, I shared my story.
She's awesome, by the way.
Tammy Adams, I see me in the picture in the background. It's probably in the background there. Karen, hi. This is great. And Jeffosaurus Rex, thank you for saying the levels are okay. I needed to hear that. This is cool. Keep those comments coming. I wrote that. Yes, please comment. I gotta say this. Please comment. It helps with the algorithms of Facebook. Even if you're watching it in the restream and it's not live, please comment. It helps. And it's one way that you could connect with other people. Also, please do us a favor and subscribe on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel that we're planning on making more of. It's moMondays video on YouTube. Go there, please subscribe, like, thumbs up, because I'll be posting this video there as well. And since Jeff reminded me, because he messaged me here, Jeffosaurus is going to be my guest next week. Gord, have you met Jeff?
Not live.
Oh, he is. I love him. I love him.
I've heard he's a character too.
Well, okay, wait a minute. You've just talked about Stephen playing with his bare feet. not playing with his bare feet, but playing his music in his bare feet. And so he's a character. We know about you and your little mini ponytail man bun and your shorts. You're a character. Jeffosaurus Rex, he's a character, and people have said, I'm a character. I think, being a character is kind of like the cost of entry for moMondays. I want to thank you guys for being on the show. Did you have a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm going to be listening to more of your music. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I can't do this anymore. Oh, I'm depressed. No, so let me tell you what. When we leave the house, we stream our friends' music while we're away for the dogs. So I say, so you know, and we do this all the time. Now we don't leave the house, but when we did, and next time we do, I guarantee you will earn 0.0000023 cents from the hours and hours that I'm going to stream your music when I'm out. I want to thank you guys for being on the show. We're going to go to this scene right now. No, not this scene. We're going to go to this scene. Did it work? I don't know. Yes. No, it didn't work. Here we go. We're going to try now. This is where we are. All right. You see, people are used to either the videos being put together after the fact or having a whole control room of people doing the buttons. But it's just me, so sometimes I hit the wrong button. But we had a good time. Did you have a good time? moTV, real people, real stories, real inspiration. Not like a real live moMondays, because you can't replicate those. But the next best thing, and I want you to stay tuned for the next several weeks, I'm going to be bringing every single moHost that we have. I want to give a special shout out to Dawn and Leah, who are part of Gord's team. And, when we get through everybody, we're going to bring them on too. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much, Michelle.